16 people.
Our physical reality is changing. The internet is moving off screens and out into the world around us. Digital information, content, and shared experiences will blend into view, impacting every aspect of our lives, culture, and economy. This feature is made possible by AR cloud technology, which includes machine-readable maps that tech giants and startups are currently spending billions of dollars to create. To reach its full potential, AR cloud applications, content, and experiences must be accessible and work seamlessly for anyone, anywhere, on any device, and without unjustified restrictions. Above all, personal, private, and sensitive data collection must be limited, compartmentalized, and protected at all costs. We must earn and preserve trust through open and interoperable systems that deliver authentic shared experiences people can rely on. The time to act is now. Join us at the dawn of this new era and help influence how it all begins. Visit openarcloud.org to get more info, join working groups, and get involved, committing your time, talent, and resources today in order to ensure a better tomorrow.
Hello, welcome. That was a great video created by a team of volunteers over just a little over a week. So it's out there on the internet, and you can spread that. Welcome everybody. This is the OpenAR Cloud Global Working Group webinar. We're going to be telling you about our plans for our working groups. We're going to tell you about the historical inaugural working group meeting that will be next week on Thursday, same time. We are also going to have a presentation by Colin about what is the AR Cloud, why is it needed, how do you build it, how do you create it, and what are the challenges, and what is OpenAR Cloud going to do about it. So this is also a great occasion for OpenAR Cloud, as we just released our new website. If you haven't seen it, go into openarcloud.org and have a look. We are now ready for the first time to take in paying members and partners. And it's a huge thing. Will enable us to be viable as an organization, so we can help support the important work of the working groups. So with that, I would like to give over the hand to my friend Colin, who sits on the governing board with me, and he's our treasurer and secretary, and he has prepared a little slide deck for us. So go ahead, Colin.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for attending our inaugural OpenAR Cloud event of 2019. We are just learning how to use webinar software for the first time, and so I've got a slideshow prepped for you. I just have to figure out how to.
You got to give it a name. You try to do it, and you have to fill in the name input field to start it. Maybe I can give you a hand if you send the email to me. Let me see. Technical hiccup here. So I'm opening up my Outlook. Let's see if I see the slides deck. Open slides. You have a PDF, or you could download a PDF for this. So I'm going to try to upload if you haven't done it. Should I just try?
So I've got the presentation loading up right now. We will see how long it takes for it to go on screen.
Yeah. Do you see this?
Thanks for bearing with us, folks.
Do you see the input field for name of the presentation? Because nothing happens before you give it a name.
Okay. All right, there
Yeah.
we go. Hey, we've got a slide.
This, by the way,
All right.
is designed by Alina, an art director, who is volunteering day and night for Open Air Cloud. She's put in a huge effort with the video and with these slides, yeah, for social media. Go ahead, Colin.
All right. So thanks everybody for attending. I know we've been talking about OpenAR Cloud in pretty broad terms for a long time, so I'm excited to get into some of the more specifics of how we hope to come together as a group and tackle some of these immersive technology challenges that everybody in the industry needs to solve these problems for different use cases. And so if we can identify the ways we can cooperate, I think it could be wonderful. So without further ado, I think immersive technology is poised to change the world. It is so very close, but it's not there yet. There's just a few minor kinks that we have to work out in order for augmented reality to really become mainstream, for immersive technology to really become an everyday tool that everybody uses all the time. And let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the sort of augmented reality experience I see far too often today. Devices are autonomous and independent in their understanding of a scene. And because that information is limited, sometimes it misunderstands where to place 3D content in relationship to the world. It's got an imperfect understanding of its location in the world and how to handle 3D content accordingly. So I always ask myself, how can we get from experiences like this to experiences like what we see in cinema, like in movies like Minority Report and Iron Man, where augmented reality is just ubiquitous, easy to access all around us, and it understands its environment and reacts to it properly. Enter the AR cloud. This is that fundamental piece of infrastructure that we all need to come together to help develop and build in a shared decentralized manner so that we can all take advantage of this infrastructure to drive all the many different awesome experiences that we can build on top of this. So I imagine this group knows already, but just a quick reminder of what is the AR cloud. Well, ultimately, it's a collection of sensor data that helps localize a device in space, but it does it with enough precision that you can really do some of this more beautiful, cinematic, precise, augmented reality that we're just only starting to see this generation of technology. So AR cloud technology, it lets you localize that device in real space. It lets you position digital content from that device accurately. It lets you sync users and experiences, not only in real time, but over time. So someone can asynchronously participate in an experience removed by time or even location. And perhaps most interestingly, with smartphones in everybody's pocket, the AR cloud provides an opportunity to crowdsource data that no satellite or smart car will ever capture. It lets us capture that last meter of detail that you only get from people with smartphones. All of this, the AR cloud makes possible. But we have to build it, and we have to build it in a way that's useful to many people. So what are the challenges that come with building this shared augmented reality immersive technology infrastructure? And in my mind, there are 4 very big challenges that we have to come together to solve. The walled garden, what I like to call consistent persistence, the shared canvas, and also how do we discover the right immersive content for the right context? So let me unpack these problems a little bit more. So the walled garden. AR works best when it's shared across many devices. Oh, whoops. many platforms in many locations. But that's not the way augmented reality works right now. Everybody is building these mutually exclusive silos of AR content and AR data. And so, well, just about everybody and their mom has an interest in AR right now and is building technologies. They tend to live in proprietary domains. And that means that creators and consumers kind of lose in this equation. You're locked into expensive hardware, you're locked into proprietary platforms. It makes it difficult to share, it makes it difficult to publish. These are some pretty big challenges, and some of the wonderful benefits that we get from the internet today, we don't have in the 3D domain yet. Every rendering engine is its own proprietary thing. Just every little bit of the stack is very, very insulated and personal at the moment to any individual effort. And so this is a big challenge. And then there's consistent persistence. AR works best when my digital content painted onto the real world acts as though it were real world content. And that means that 3D content I insert needs to occlude accurately behind objects. It needs to collide accurately with objects. It needs to just generally obey the rules of the physics of any location. And it also needs to work from many different perspectives. There's a variety of different devices that immersive technology is going to affect, everything from smart driving cars to robots to headsets to smartphones. They're all going to need very similar spatial data sets. And if we can find a way to provide this data consistently and normalized across many devices, this is going to be immensely helpful. And it's also worth noting at this point that persistence is a spectrum. The AR technology that's on the market right now is persistent for a very short time, from something as ephemeral as a Snapchat filter that lasts a session to a Google Cloud Anchor, which I believe lasts a few days right now. But by having a shared piece of AR cloud infrastructure that's always updating with new samples and new information about how to localize in real space, we can start to enable this consistent persistence where I'm not anchoring content to an individual anchor, but to a location, and I have many different indications of my device's position in that space, so that I really can have a more consistent, physics accurate experience. And this brings us into discussing sharing the canvas. How do we take disparate data sets generated by many different sensors and normalize them and average them in such a way that many different devices can benefit from this aggregate data set? This is a tough challenge. Different devices, different platforms all speak different languages. Just about every different point cloud technology has its own internal descriptors that it uses. Point clouds are highly proprietary in their current form, and that makes sharing that canvas difficult. And then to do it in real time is an additional layer of difficulty. There is no true broadcast on the internet. There is direct connections between every single client and the host, and that's a difficult bandwidth synchronization issue, and something that I hope this industry finds a clever way to handle together. And last but not least, access to the canvas needs to be asymmetrical. Privacy is a big issue. If I take a 3D scan of my bedroom, I might want to share that with my family and friends, but not every individual in the world. And so we need to design how we share this canvas, how we share this infrastructure in such a manner that there's decentralized control over contributions, and I can make sure that the spatial data I contribute is available to the people I care about and not every last person on the globe. So these are some pretty big challenges. There's also context and discovery. Unlike the internet of today, where we have a server mapped onto a semantic name, you know, instead of dialing a phone number, you visit google.com or you visit Reddit. That's not the way augmented reality content is going to work. There's an additional step. You map an experience, an app, an AR object onto a virtual location, onto a real location, onto a server. This is a different pattern, a different flow from the internet as we know it. And it's going to necessitate how we discover content changing. The entire search engine paradigm is going to change based on these new notions of what's spatially relevant to me, what is my current context, what content should take precedence so that I'm not seeing all augmented reality somebody is placed in Times Square at once. Who is allowed to see this message? Who is not allowed to see this message? Who is allowed to paint information onto this location? This is another big challenge that I think we need to come together to solve. So now let's discuss, kind of with those challenges in mind, what is the mission of the Open AR Cloud? And ultimately our mission is to drive the development of open and interoperable AR cloud technology. And that can be pretty broad. We at Open AR Cloud don't believe that open and interoperable needs to be exclusively free and exclusively open source. We believe that whether you are a proprietary solution or a completely open source effort in immersive technology, there's still a lot of common ground, a lot of challenges that we all can solve together. And Open AR Cloud is all about driving that process and everyone who's interested in participating. So what are the core values that we take in all of our work, and that we hope that everybody participating in working groups shares similar values? And if there are other values that they want considered, I hope that people come and attend working groups this month with those values in mind, because we are very much a fluid project in motion. We are actively changing and forming as we meet the other interested parties and really determine what we can come together on and what we can cooperate on. So what I'm laying out for you today is a grand vision of all that we hope to accomplish, and we know that as we come together and start working together, that will start to take shape. But so what are our core values? We think that an AR cloud ecosystem needs to be open, transparent, interoperable. It needs to be guided by immutable values. We can't change when it's convenient. We want to embrace standards created by consensus. And we want a diverse community. We want an AR cloud solution that's going to work for people in countries all over the world, on every continent, for big companies, for little companies. Any common ground we can find between all these people is a wonderful thing and something we should embrace. We also think that AR cloud infrastructure fundamentally needs to be distributed. Centralization is a huge challenge and not something we necessarily want. Perhaps most fundamentally, we need to respect the rights and the privacy of individuals and really provide them with informed consent about how their spatial data is being used. In the wake of scandals like Cambridge Analytica, we are learning just what is possible with the data that we very casually offer up to the internet. And with spatial data, that level of scrutiny, that level of private information, that we're making available to the world is a whole nother level. And so at its foundational core, we need to make sure that we are really respecting the autonomy and the privacy of individuals, as well as the intellectual property of contributors, both in terms of content and raw spatial data. And really, we got to foster innovation, opportunity, or what are we all here for? And very valuably, we hope in that OpenAR Cloud becomes a locus for compliance and privacy regulation. The rules to do augmented reality in China are different than the rules to do augmented reality in Europe, is different than the United States, etc. And so we hope to codify and identify these policies in such a way that that compliance data can be hooked into and taken advantage of by the entire community. So what are some of the specific goals that we hope these values will kind of drive us towards? Here are a few of the most important ones. A shared language for spatial indexing and geopose. Just about every AR cloud platform has a proprietary notion of a device's position in space and how it's posed in space. But that doesn't mean we can't have a shared translation layer so that I can list and share that data across multiple platforms. Along the same lines, we need a ubiquitous schema for addressing privacy, permissions, data rights, intellectual property rights, etc. And that dovetails with having a canonical compliance record. Wouldn't it be great if instead of every AR company having a giant compliance department, always trying to keep track of where they are and are not allowed to have their users augment content? What if there was a canonical record that everybody could tap into, a sort of global DNS for AR content? This is one of our visions. And we think the schema that we build this all with needs to absolutely protect the privacy and the dignity and the rights of the people who participate and take advantage of this shared infrastructure. And in doing so, I hope we provide a model for informed consent so that people really do understand all the benefit they get from participating in immersive experiences, but how the data that they provide gets used for that. So there's the vision. How can you, person tuned into this webinar, participate? Well, join us at OpenAR Cloud. You can join up as an individual. You can get your entire organization to join up. And if you do join up, you can come participate in our working groups. Later this month, we're having our inaugural session for each working group, and I'm going to be going into what those working groups are in a second here. If you don't have the time to participate in working groups, you can follow the progress of our working groups. Some working groups will be releasing white papers, others will be endorsing specific technologies. Each working group has a slightly different kind of mandate and deliverable, but we're going to be publishing all of that and broadcasting it out to the world. After all, our purpose is open shared standards. And as always, you could donate or donate resources if you are a company that offers infrastructure or any other sort of support. That's something we're also interested in. Please reach out and participate. Oh, I'm seeing some whiteboard action from Jan Eric. Well, anyways, I will keep moving on. So let's discuss some specific working groups here. And for everyone in the audience here, these are the working groups that we hope are relevant to you. And one of these groups is one you'd like to come and participate in and advocate for your interests, and provide your 2 cents. Let's have a look here. Our first working group is the spatial indexing and geopose group. If you or your company has an interesting methodology for this, one that you're willing to open source, or one that you're willing to share, or if you just like to learn about a translation layer that other people are offering up, right now there is not a ubiquitous accepted way for people to describe a device's location in the world and its position in pose. And in order to build some sort of DNS, some sort of shared backbone describing any location, we need a common language and something that is more specialized than what GPS gives us, something that really is relevant specifically to driving immersive experiences. Our next working group is the reality modeling and mapping group. By the way, I should mention, if you visit our website, openarcloud.org, there is an in-depth description of each of these working groups available. Go check them out, see which ones are relevant to the work that you're interested in and the work that your organizations do. And again, come join us. I'm going to list quite a few working groups here. If we don't have enough attendees to flesh out all of them, there is the possibility that some of these working groups will get consolidated, as there are quite a few topics and some do dovetail and overlap. So yeah, reality modeling and mapping, are there any sort of shared methodologies, shared standards in the way of how we are taking 3D models of the world, taking point clouds of the world, and sharing them and publishing them in some sort of spatial framework? Content delivery, browsing and ownership. This is kind of the IP side of having some sort of spatial smart contract that brings the right content to the right eyeballs in the right location with the right permissions. The privacy group. Privacy is paramount. If I want to share a point cloud in my bedroom, I want to share it with exactly the people I intend to and nobody else. And so we need to have a robust privacy backbone built right in. Edge computing, IoT, and 5G. Well, I imagine everybody in this audience knows, but 5G is set to provide us with a ton more bandwidth, and the way we do business and the sort of AR cloud applications that our smart devices will be able to handle is about to get a lot better. The additional bandwidth and processing power that technologies like edge computing and 5G are going to bring to our portable smart devices is just immense. And so we want to make sure that OpenAR Cloud's technology is going to be compatible with that and take advantage of that. Security, much along the same lines as privacy. A lot of corporate entities and industrial use cases really care about the security of their AR infrastructure. If I'm going to spatially annotate my factory floor with all sorts of information relevant to business processes, I want that information to stay within my organization, and I want my employees to access it in a seamless way. And security is really going to be the topic and schema that is going to take that friction out of the system and make it a useful business tool. Compliance, regulations, and legal. Every AR company in the world has to deal with these issues, and in the wake of new legislation such as GDPR, it's more important than ever that you really respect local regulations and comply with the legal burdens put upon you when you are dealing with very personal spatial data, and when you're hosting a platform where people can post content. And so we hope to create a flexible rubric, a framework that will really make it easy for organizations to comply with legal and local regulations, no matter where in the world they operate. User experience, accessibility, and safety. Now that ARKit and ARCore are on the market, we're just starting to learn about some of the safety issues of augmented reality. I remember the first time I tripped walking backwards because I was playing with an AR application. There are some genuine design challenges that we need to embrace so that augmented reality experiences can have the same robustness that web-driven experiences do in being accessible to everyone, in being handicap accessible, so that people who are blind or deaf have abstractions of the experience to help them understand the content in an alternative way. There's just a ton of user experience issues, a ton of safety issues, and we'd like to tackle that and be a part of that conversation. Open source. Now, obviously, there's a lot OpenAR Cloud has to offer to businesses of every size, and some of that may be open source, although we don't have any current initiatives that necessarily necessitate developing a particular software suite so much as rubrics and guidelines. We don't want to close the door on open source, and if there are people eager to contribute to particular open source solutions that everybody can use, that's a discussion we'd like to facilitate.
Yeah, we have a few ideas on that in Nordkart. We're about to perhaps release some solutions that could be used by other people, open source on GitHub.
And then this is my last slide. Our last potential working group is organization and community. So we're a nascent group. Spatial data has relevance to so many different domains that oftentimes we don't recognize how big our community is, because there are so many different people approaching the same challenges from different angles for different industries. And so if there's interest, that is the last group, last working group we would like to hopefully get enough warm bodies around a table to participate in. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you so
Jan,
much.
Eric?
Well, that was an awesome presentation, and I couldn't have said it better myself. We're returning to our community now that we are starting to build. We have a lot of people have signed up for the working groups. I don't know if every one of those are going to be able to attend next Thursday, but I hope if we are spreading the word about the event, use social media, reach out. If you have signed up as a potential co-chair or chair or that kind of leadership role in one of the working groups, you should. We will provide you, if you reach out to us, we will provide you with a list of emails so you could try to rally your team so as many as possible will show up next Thursday. And well, it's like a short notice. That's why we originally we tended to have this inaugural thing today, but things got compressed in time. We had to spend the entirety of last week on preparation instead of reaching out to the people who have signed up for working groups. We just got our payment solution from Sunday to Monday night, working with a volunteer from Pakistan. I gotta just mention Noiman Hanif, who was sitting like in a really odd time zone. I think he was like in the middle of the night at like 4 and 5 o'clock. He was working with me on the back-end integration with our payment solutions provider. and we got it working. So in that context, we are trying to build this mothership OpenAir Cloud to support all the working groups. And it wouldn't be responsible to do this event today. We have to give it some time so that we can reach out to those who want to take a leadership role and enable them to do their job and rally their people and do the preparation, because they need to look into documents. We have written some guidelines for how to, you will find them on the website now. We have guidelines for the working groups, we have bylaws, we have code of conduct. All of those things are important to go through if you are doing a leadership role, and if you're or I think anyone should have a look. I really, if people prepare, we can make this event next Thursday really great.
I like to think that we spent 2018 broadcasting to the community that we have this big vision for how the AR cloud can work, not just for one company, but for many different organizations at many different scales. That was what we spent 2018 doing, was telling this beautiful story. And now it's 2019, and we have to make good on our beautiful dreams. And so today we've launched a new website. We're officially open for membership once more.
Partnership.
Our working groups are meeting for the first time, and I'm very excited to really put some action behind these words. And I'm gratified that so many people have attended this webinar and are excited to hear what we have to say and hopefully come participate later this month and in the coming months.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. The stakes are high because the opportunity for a really awesome future is there. But also, if we get it wrong, it's so many ways it could be disastrous. So we're taking on a big responsibility, and we're just starting up as a volunteer effort, and we're building this. So we're hoping to be able to hire staff later this year. Importantly, when we have this many working groups, we need to make them move towards the goals in a coordinated way, so they don't pull in different directions. So we need to find a working group coordinator, and that's going to be like one of the most crucial roles in our organization. And we cannot currently offer payments. We cannot pay for that in the initial phase, but that is definitely what we intend to do later this year. We have already, from the sign-up form, we have 22 people who have offered their candidacy for this role, and that's very, very good. I see most of them are men. There's a few good women there. So I encourage more women to apply for that role. And the form is still open, and I also encourage people, if you know somebody who should be at the working groups, reach out to them, get them to go onto the sites, fill out the form, become a member. We need the best people to solve these challenges. So there's a random factor in the beginning. I think it's not totally random because it's pioneers. If you look at our initial blog posts, if you go to our medium/OpenAir Cloud, and you look at the people who signed up just after we announced, we got like 240 people, and most of them agreed to be listed on our. I pasted in here in the chat. I'm John Eric, not Urin Bar, but this is first time with this webinar. There's a lot of really awesome people who have signed up. So when you participate, you're going to meet some of the greatest minds in this sector. But I'm confident that there are more people out there who should definitely be part of this. We are not going to miss out of them if we can. So definitely reach out to everyone you know who should be part of it.
All right, Jan. So I'm going to mention we've got about 5 minutes left in this seminar. to those who are planning to participate in the working groups, in the coming days, we will be sending out to you a sort of rubric document that describes the expectations of participants in working groups. And we hope that each working group ultimately will have at least 2 people who take on the role of kind of secretary and administrator. And each working group needs to determine what sort of deliverable they will be sprinting on for the duration of their for each 3-month sprint. Again, this will all be in the document that everyone will receive, but there's a lot of open organizations in this world with a lot of lofty goals, and we think it's very important to be results driven. So in this inaugural event, we hope that individual working groups come together and not only talk about what they hope to achieve, but what concrete deliverable they hope to work on in order to help reach that achievement. And so that might be a white paper, that might be an endorsement of an existing project or software. It might be a recommendation for a new schema or product or software. There's a lot of different forms deliverables can take. But in order to be a results-oriented organization, you will find in this handout that the way we are structuring working groups is really meant to reward the people who show up and put in the most effort. And so if there's one takeaway from the way we're structuring this organization, it's that those who show up get to lead the conversation.
Yeah, if we are running short on time, I would like to replay the video that I hope you can start sharing on any social media that you can access. It's created by a team of volunteers. Alina, she did the brunt of the video editing, but we got John Daly, who did both the music and the voiceover, and we got another team of people working on the script. And Dave Lorenzini he's in at UAR, and he has this long track record of Keyhole, the pre-runner to Google Earth. Mm-hmm. So he's been involved with this mapping of the world for ages, and he wrote the final script for this video. So it's been like a huge team effort, and we're no budget at all, and like a little over a week, and we did this.
Our physical reality is changing. The internet is moving off screens and out into the world around us. Digital information, content, and shared experiences will blend into view, impacting every aspect of our lives, culture, and economy. This feature is made possible by AR cloud technology, which includes machine-readable maps that tech giants and startups are currently spending billions of dollars to create. To reach its full potential, AR cloud applications, content, and experiences must be accessible and work seamlessly for anyone, anywhere, on any device, and without unjustified restrictions. Above all, personal, private, and sensitive data collection must be limited, compartmentalized, and protected at all costs. We must earn and preserve trust through open and interoperable systems that deliver authentic shared experiences people can rely on. The time to act is now. Join us at the dawn of this new era and help influence how it all begins. Visit openarcloud.org to get more info, join working groups, and get involved, committing your time, talent, and resources today in order to ensure a better tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. You had to pay a whole lot of money to get some other people to do that, and we got it from a volunteer effort. So awesome. When we're in this festive mood, let's direct to everybody to the poll, because what do you name this new world that we are building, this shared programmable space? Are you able to find this poll? I have created it. So we have alternatives: metaverse, like Charlie Fink, based on this science fiction novel that was like way back. And we have Mirror World, maybe also some science fiction stuff. We have the AR cloud. We got Superverse, my personal favorites. No pressure, no pressure. And we have got the real world web. We got the spatial web. So the jury is out. We don't know what real people are going to call this in the future, but it's going to be transformative. It's going to change the way we interact with everything, with each other, with the physical world, with our past, with our present, our landscapes, our buildings, our technology. Everything is going to be affected. It's a magnitude change that is mind-blowing. And you who are here, you are pioneers of this new era that we are creating together, and we want it to be really, really awesome.
All right. Well, we're at the 45-minute mark now. So once again, I just want to thank everybody for attending.
We might have an hour. We might have an hour.
Well, we might, but I don't have any more slides. So
you don't have any more slides. Well, let me see.
I just want to thank everybody for attending. I really do hope to meet some of you in our working groups. Some of our wonderful board members will be attending those working groups, myself included. And I really look forward to actually digging in and not just telling a beautiful story anymore, but we're really starting to work together on some open interoperable standards that I think will help drive the entire immersive technology sector forward.
Awesome. Yeah, we're still live. We're not cut off. So one thing I would like to say that the work ahead of us is many, many years, but some things might be deliverables that we could share with the world if we are successful. Like if we are determining a geopose standard, we shouldn't be the standard development organization. We should reach out to like one of our partners, Open Geospatial Consortium. They are represented with one of their top persons, Scott Sims, I think. And we should reach out to those kind of players and try to what is already done, what is prior work, can we use it? If not, then we really need this geopose standard. So we should entice them, and maybe if we get traction on this, we could get a geopose standard within not too long, and it will be a hugely important thing. So some other aspect will take a lot longer, but I think some of the work that we are starting on can be concrete and give results also in the shorter term, and create some excitement around what we are trying to do.
Well said, Jan. Well, at that point, I must say goodnight to my friends in Europe and across the globe.
We have some
here in the United
Asia.
States. My day is just starting, so I'm going to go work on some augmented reality experiences now.
Yeah, UAR is a wonderful visionary company. Bye-bye. Goodbye all. Yeah, you should. I don't know if you've seen the demo from UAR on their browser, where you can mash together different app experiences. That's not obvious when you're on the smartphone, but when you're in the Superverse or in the Metaverse or the Mirror World, you could have things that operate in the same time, in the same space, and it could be useful for them to be able to interact with each other. So they have this concept of having protocols between the apps, so they could, for instance, share collision detection. So you cannot so the geometry won't just slide through each other, but could behave as real physical objects in the real world. It's very, very exciting. And also I want to mention that UAR started the AR Cloud Foundation initiative way back in 2017, before the term AR Cloud was even familiar, when people had noticed Orion Bar's message to the world, and they made a huge effort into thinking about the future. So I'm very glad that they are part, and many of our partners, Immersal, another great partner, is now releasing an AR cloud SDK that is going to be very exciting to try out. So, well, now I'm sitting here by myself talking, but it's been great having you on, and I'm looking forward to meeting many of you in the future, and hope as many of you are able to show up for the inaugural working group sessions next Thursday. So with that, I think I'll end the seminar. Bye-bye.